A very, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and once again, a very warm welcome to the East India Retail Summit 2016. Here in the East India Retail Summit, we promise to serve the entire retail industry's agenda in catalyzing the profitable growth of modern retail by getting together business leaders and retail pioneers from the region and across the country to share knowledge and discuss key consumption trends, incubate new retail concepts, and definitely celebrate exceptional achievements in the industry. We expect the most enlightening conference sessions carefully planned to cover the most pertinent aspects of the retail and shopping center industries. We expect you to create new business alliances across the retail value chain as the majority of attendees belong to senior management hierarchy. And we would also like to invite you to join us for the East India Retail Movers and Shakers at the Images East India Retail Awards ceremony in the evening. And now, I hope all of you have a great conference. And we would like to begin with our inaugural session. Our inaugural session is going to be the most interesting one. And this is all about the East Retail Wave, the growth of organized retail in Eastern India. The industry dynamics have changed drastically over the last decade. The region has immense untapped potential and thus a lot needs to be explored. The dynamics of these markets are unique and needs in-depth understanding where are the growth areas. What are the major challenges of this region? What clicks best with the customers? Has the digital frenzy caught the customers here or it's still in its primitive stage? This inaugural session will delve deeper on these thoughts and discuss how retailers in this part of the country are innovating their business models and building their strategies and future plan for staying all tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss this session, we have a very esteemed panel. I would like to invite Mr. Mohit Kampani, Managing Director, Spencer's Retail. Can we have a round of applause for Mr. Mohit Kampani? Mr. Sushil Mohta, Managing Director, Merlin Group. Mr. Sanjeev Rao, Director, Business Development, Raymond. And Mr. Pankaj Renjen, Managing Director, Retail, JLL. And to moderate this session, I would like to invite Mr. B.S. Nagesh. Can we have a round of applause for our moderator, please? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I hope all of you enjoyed this session.
Yeah, very good morning. Very good morning. I know it's early morning for Kolkata, so why don't we warm ourselves? Very good morning to everybody. Yeah, it's still not. I'm still here, only 10 people responding back. Boss, all the way I've come from Mumbai to say good morning to you. Come on. Very good morning. Yeah, that's better. all are, and some people thought that I've come to Kolkata because I want to come and see the match tomorrow and not that for this conference. Yeah, Kolkata is really hot. Lots of things happening here. And we have a fantastic panel with us, and we hope to extract the best out of this panel today and actually discuss saying what can happen, what's happening in the East India as far as retail is concerned. We'll also explore in terms of consumers of the Eastern market, see if we can actually look at what's happening in the rest of the country and in the Eastern market. Idea is at the end of an hour with the question answer, if all of us are able to learn one thing out of this esteemed panel, which is probably consisting of the best that you can see, that will be a great takeaway. So a big round of applause for the gentleman on the... You know what they say? They say that if you really want to energize yourself, put your hand together like this. Let's do a namaste to each other. Press it like this, yeah? Namaste. And if you really want to energize yourself, you have to... Yeah, do it more times. It actually builds the pressure for all the pulse, and then it really energizes you. And that's the only way I could make you clap for my panelists here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Let me start with Sushil. Everybody, when they talk of East, okay, they talk of saying, oh, we want to be in India as a business. Let's start from Mumbai or Delhi. Next port of call is Bangalore. And then go all over, then come to East. as probably one of the last part to reach as part of the national development. When I look at East or just look at Kolkata, I actually see this as a continent by itself. Whether you see by culture, by religion, by opportunity, by number of people, and consumption, because it's not about consumption only of the elite rich. I mean, there are people at the bottom of the pyramid to consume. So I want you to look at East as an independent market. And if East is an independent market, what do you think has happened to East over the last 10 years in terms of development? Touch the development in terms of infrastructure, touch the development in terms of modernization, and touch the development in terms of residential, and then we'll come to consumers and ask some of the people around.
Well, in last 10 years, there have been a sea change. As a developer, I can tell you the amount of development we used to do 10 years back, it's mind-boggling. It's now what we suppose if a developer was doing 2 lakh square feet in a year, now he's doing 20 lakh square feet. That's the kind of numbers. And 10 years back, it was restricted to certain pockets also. Only certain pockets, South Calcutta and some part of North Calcutta and little bit of Howrah and all. Now, city has expanded far-fetched. I mean, on one side, there is deep into Hooghly and Konnagar and Srirampur. On the other side here, right up to Joka and beyond on Diamond Harbour Road. Then your Gariyas and Sonarpur and Baroipurs. There's so many micro markets which have developed now. So naturally with these micro market coming in, and all of these are middle class and lower middle class segments. So naturally to cater all this micro market, the retail is going to also be spread in all these areas. That is as far as the housing is concerned. If you see education, I can see a lot of new institutes coming in all these areas, whether it is Baroipur, whether it is Newtown Rajarhat, whether it is Howrah area or Joka areas. So there is social infrastructure also coming, medical infrastructure coming. So the Calcutta, which used to be a a pin code used to be, say, Calcutta ward number 1 to 100 or maximum another 40 wards in Byala and Jadavpur. Now we see a lot of developments happening in adjoining urban local bodies, municipalities, and most of the developments are happening there. In fact, we never used to think in terms of rules, regulation beyond KMC. In last 3-4 years, our body CREDAI has worked extensively for, getting the rules amended to suit these pockets also now. Because a lot of large developments are coming. So naturally, they were not getting attention before. But now we are thinking that, okay, large townships will come. We recently had a private township rules amended, whereby, now the developers can acquire large parcels of land and develop townships. There is a proper development-friendly laws in place now.
I just want to stop you for a moment. When you sold 2 lakh square feet 10 years back, what was the price? And now when you're selling 20 lakh square feet, what is the price?
Wonderful question. Prices used to be less than 4 digits in those days.
So let's say 1,000 rupees, just as a discussion.
Around.
Okay.
And now it is, the average price is on this area 3,000 minimum.
And what was the area of a house that time or an apartment versus area at now? 1,000 square feet then and 1,000 now, or has it moved up or moved down?
No, it has shrunk. There's more efficiency now. There are more efficient apartments. The average size would be around 700 square feet now.
Yeah, so we are talking of that time 1,000 square feet at 1,000 rupees, and today you're talking of a 700 or 800 square feet at 3,000 to 4,000 rupees. So we are talking of what, 30, 40 lakhs worth of apartments, yeah? I just want to come back to you, Mohit. If there is a 40 lakh worth of apartment and the consumption, this is one developer saying, I don't know what the statistics for the East India is or for the whole of Kolkata is. I can't see a reason why there isn't potential in the city. Because when you set a house, whether you are a family of 2 or a family of 4, if you go by the consumption pattern, each family's requirement is very large. So where are they shopping if you are saying there are only few malls and there are only few, are the local markets doing extremely well? Are the traditional retailers growing? Have the local retailers of East doubled, tripled their business?
Yeah. Well, Nagesh, 20% of my sales comes from Calcutta city. So I'll be the biggest advocate of Calcutta and larger West Bengal.
Or maybe you may not. You always say, no, it's not a nice place to come, so competitors will not come here, you know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So, I think 2 or 3 trends which we are seeing. So your question is absolutely valid. I think the biggest issue in growing consumption at a faster rate than today is, of course, penetration. Unless you build more points of sale, how will you grow consumption? But having said that, and I was sharing this data with you gentlemen before we came here, today Calcutta city as I'm using Calcutta as a metaphor here, Calcutta city as in terms of size for grocery is just about 7% behind Bombay city. That's how large it is. And many people don't know that. Of course, the National Capital Region is the largest. And the reason why that's happened is because the last 4 years, it's continued to grow at double digits, whereas more mature markets like Bombay have not managed to grow. So consumption has grown dramatically. The very interesting point behind this consumption growth is that all types of retail in our industry have participated. So general trade has grown fast. Of course, large, self-service retail has grown much, much faster. The growth rates have been 20% plus for the last 5 years. But growth is there. Can it be faster, to your point? Of course it can be. And
If you can also address one more part in the
Yeah.
same. One is faster. Secondly is how much of potential can be tapped. So what happens is when you are one small part of the national business, you don't spend so much of money on advertising, you don't do too many events, you don't do so many promotions. So you don't spur the desire of the consumer to come and shop more and more. So in spite of what's happened, has the potential been tapped? Even for your own group, let's say Spencer's, do you think you tapped the full potential of what you are and where you are?
So if you look at the top 10 metros, Calcutta has about 12% share of self-service, which is by far the lowest.
Yeah.
And I think the paradox here is while there is a very, very large consumption opportunity, and I know several heads of national chains retailers. In fact, the most common theme which goes across them is they simply don't get area for expansion here. Property is a bottleneck. And here lies the paradox, which is, and I think the way to plug that paradox is certainly through legislation. Making more FAR available, we were chatting about that easily. So on one hand, costs for developers like him are going up, and on the other hand, we continue to demand what we call value spaces, because that's the only way retail can, grow. And, I think because of lack of recreation options in most urban cities, public recreation options, certainly cities like Calcutta, you don't have public parks and public theaters and stuff like that. Today, the malls are the new recreation, playgrounds. That's where families go. So until we see a marked improvement, all these micro markets he's talking about can have malls like South City and Acropolis and, stuff like that. But we simply don't have space available. And I think here legislation can kick in.
Tell me also in terms of the consumption pattern behavior.
Yes.
I mean, if suppose they were buying rice and dal out of a bin, have they moved from there to packaged commodity, higher end products? I mean, have they moved from the dalias to the quinoas of the world? Have they moved from the regular to the organic food? Is that movement also happening? Which actually shows the true sense of development of an individual consumer in a city or in a state.
That's a fascinating point. Actually, in this city, we have seen the maximum growth on premiumization across categories, particularly in personal care, processed food, and more nascent categories such as liquor. Are we selling the highest ASPs here? No, we are not. Delhi will still have more, Bangalore will still have more. But if you look at it from a growth perspective, over the last 6-7 years, the premiumization has been the highest, particularly personal care. I mean, it really, I'll give you a specific example. Olay has a range of, skincare products under Regenerist. About, 4-5 years back, we were lucky to sell a couple of thousand a month because those products cost 2,500, 3,000 rupees. Just a single store of ours now sells 25 lakhs of that a month. Wow. It's a huge premiumization wave.
It could be also because what the pollution has done to the Bengali skin. Because everybody always said that the people from Bengal always had very nice and beautiful skin. So maybe the pollution is spoiled and you require Olay to do something about it. Yeah, Pankaj, there seems to be growth, there seems to be demand, and there seems to be opportunity. So it's very strange that when you have these three things, and then you keep saying that there's no opportunity and Kolkata is not growing. Is there a way that people like you see this getting combined? Is there a new format which can emerge in the East India market, which need not coincide with the national market? I think to me that is important. Let me give you an example. If you go to Shanghai or you go to Shenyang or go to Guangzhou, you have what I call it as the wholesale consumer market. I mean, you have a building which has 5,000 shops, all of them selling spectacles. I mean, you can get spectacles, and all of them compete. But it's a bloody spectacle market, and you've had such markets in Kolkata. So what are you seeing the opportunity? What is the gap? Is somebody missing the trick? Are we all missing the trick?
Nagesh sir, absolutely. And I'll take an example of about 5 years back, a developer from East, Calcutta-based developer called us and said, I want to do a retail product in a place like Guwahati, which is also not in the main part of the city, and it was just on the outskirts, which is going to develop in about 3 years, but it was very accessible from him. So we went and studied that market, and we realized that he was going to do a full-fledged mall. And the pain, remember when we have panels like these, all the developers used to talk about the pain is the retailer and the developer had the common fact is the maintenance charge is 25 or 30 rupees and the rent is about 40, 50 rupees. It is unaffordable. And we said, till now, traditionally, all these years, and even in today, if you look at it, high streets tend to be a big part of the retail play in this country still. Yes, the modernization has taken away the upper end of the customer or the new age customer to malls, or particularly high fashion has moved to malls, or your upper end of the grocery market has also moved, part of it has moved, entertainment has moved. But traditional retail, which is your mom and pop stores, your ethnic stores, your regular retail has still thrived in this market. And I've not seen, growth may be slower, but we've not seen consumption go drastically down. And we said, why do we need to go build those big, massive 500,000 big box malls in every part of the country? India is still used to the fact, park your car on the road, get to the store, shop, and go back home, or walk the street. And say, why do we need to create these malls? So we advise developer and saying in Guwahati, build an open format, strip-like mall, which has very low maintenance, where the retailer is, because there will be 30-40% of the retailers who will be national retailers. So they will be a Pantaloons, they will be a Spencer's hypermarket. Give them the environment, give them a structured environment, but get in the 50 to 60% will be the local retailer who will come in.
So what response have you got from these developers?
So the development did not come in because of other issues of planning issues of the others, but the response we got from retailers was phenomenal, because they said, fine, absolutely, because I don't think I can do trading density so high that I can actually survive a 40 or 50 rupees in a Guwahati market to pay just scam and pay another 50 rupees as thing. But I'm happy to come in a structured environment today. So the reason is, if you tweak the model to each market, you can make it work. It is not necessary for retail to work in the world that you have to build these giant size, like you can't build a South City in for a Bhubaneswar for that matter. You build a mini South City, or you build a structured retail environment, give it to him. You build, for example, we were talking about and saying you're building a residential complex which has got say 300-400 apartments in a tier 2 town today. You just build 50,000 square feet of retail on the front side to cater to that sub-market as well. Retail will always follow consumption. And they do not follow real estate, they follow consumption. If the customer is there, they will adapt to that market and they will come in. And we've seen that, and we've seen that in, you look at the mall in MG Road, which is there, Spencer's is there. I don't think the mall is doing great, but I think the Spencer's store does phenomenally well, because the customer base is there, they have a phenomenal product as well. So the response is very simple. You have to just create a basic environment. Each market will need to create a new model to it, and not ape what happens in a Delhi or a Mumbai. A Shanghai model, even in China, doesn't work all over the world. It is those local markets which make it work.
So is it fair to say that there is opportunity, there is gap, you can actually create, probably the developers who are willing to put it together, but there is something which is missing in between, whether it is regulations, rules, land prices, which is actually not making it happen. Yeah, let me come to Sanjeev. You have 93 odd cities that you cover in East, you have some 200 odd stores, including EBOs, and you have been very clever. You have been actually serving the men, yeah, for the last so many years in this place, yeah, because it's very difficult to deal with women. Not deal, I'm sorry, I meant it's very difficult to sell the things for women unless you understand them well and do things like that. What has been your journey, and how do you subscribe? I know for sure, when I meet retailers, that Bangalore is the most profitable city for all retailers in the country, and Kolkata is the second most profitable city. This is amazing. You know, we all talk of sales, but we never look at profitability, and this is a city which actually delivers tremendous यार कोलकाता के बारे में बात करता हूँ तो भी आप लोग धीरे-धीरे हाथ I mean, if when we're talking of Kolkata, at least can we, yeah, that's better. I mean, you have to keep me energetic so that I can keep moving on. Yeah, sorry. So just tell me what you think is the actual issue. Is there a challenge? और हम लोग केवल बात कर रहे हैं. Is there a challenge? Is there an opportunity, especially for people like you who already penetrated so well in the East market?
Well, Nagisa, I completely subscribe to you. We started our journey 35 years, roughly 35 to 40 years back in the East market. And at that point in time, we have been blessed with some very good franchisees who have been with us for the last 3 decades, 4 decades. And just to give you a number, we are there in 94 cities and towns in the East.
Wow.
180.
1 minute. Huh? How many of you here who are locals can name 94 towns in East? We are going to actually give a very good gift voucher. Anybody who wants to attempt? 75, anybody wants to attempt? Anybody wants to attempt 50 cities in East? 25 cities? 15? Wow, this is challenging, no? 15 cities they can't identify and you are at 93 cities. Please carry on, go ahead. Yeah.
So for us, whether it is Bhubaneswar, whether it's Odisha market or Bihar market or the Northeast or West Bengal for that matter, the journey started quite some time back and we took the franchising route to move into this part of the country. And we have 84 franchisees as of today for the East. And of course, various resellers and all of them. So for us, the journey has been extremely good. Even today, when we renovate a particular store, for example, we renovated a store in Ranchi, the Raymond shop in Ranchi. We saw a growth of 50%.
1.5 or 5.0?
5.0.
Wow. Wow.
So for us, it's very clear that consumption is there. People are ready to accept it. However, we also have a couple of challenges. So the franchisees have their own real estate. So we really don't have to, work so hard towards, getting into the space constraint part of it. A lot of them own their own real estate. But when it comes to the EBOs, which we want to grow, now for example, Color Plus, we only have 16 stores in the east of India. And today when I want to actually penetrate places like Bhubaneswar, or if we want to get into Calcutta for that matter in some of the prime, it's impossible to manage the cost. So that's a challenge. And the journey has been phenomenal. I think East is working. If you come to any of our trade shows, which we conduct, you will see that Calcutta is number 2.
Wow. I'm not going to ask you to name the 93 cities and towns.
I'll send you a list.
No, I don't. Tell me one of the smaller towns of East, in your opinion, which has actually surprised. And some town, if you remember, which half of us do not know the name. Because India comes with such beautiful surprises in terms of its consumption. Any one city or town or any place in the East which has actually surprised you in terms of its consumption and the kind of business that you've got?
Well, there are many, but I will just tell you. Let's take, for example, Midnapur district.
Okay. All of you know Midnapur? Okay, so at least good. City you all know, yeah.
So Midnapur has been one such place where we have seen the consumption. So the idea is, for us, the whole, the best part is we sell from a 5,000 rupees suit to a 3 lakh rupees suit. So
did you sell a 3 lakh rupees suit in Midnapur?
No, we didn't.
No,
We
okay,
didn't.
okay.
We didn't. In Calcutta, yes, we do. However, that is more towards the festive seasons, wedding seasons, when, everybody, actually I was thinking today morning that being a Calcutta boy myself, if you have to actually get a bespoke, made-to-measure, tailored suit, who's there? that has also been.
You have no competition also left. Yeah, in this. I want to come back to the panel, but before that, I want to check. Is there anybody here who runs a single shop or who actually runs one or two shops on the high street or has a brand which actually sells in one or two shops? I just want to check what's happening to the small retail in the city. Have we grown? Anybody here from that kind of an environment? Would you like to talk? I just want you to tell us, how have you seen the last 10 years? Okay, in the same light that we have spoken here, have you grown? Have you seen the opportunity? Or are you seeing that there's so much opportunity I can't grow? I mean, what's happening to a smaller
There is
retail?
growth. There is growth. What recently was shared here, that you must have the product for the customer. It doesn't matter whether you're in a mall or a mall. Having in a good mall, having a good place definitely matters. You're shaking hands with Ananda Mr. Mehra, who had been kind enough to us. We have Imagine stores, all Apple stores in Calcutta. So there is a lot of potential. We are as competitive, and all the targets which are given to cities like Bangalore or Bombay for that matter, we surpass that. So it does matter. I mean, the growth is there, and there is huge potential, huge potential.
So, Sushil, tell me now, if you go back, there is potential. I get a sense that if there is a model which can, and I want to see if all the four of you can work together, whether we do it or not. In the next 5 minutes, we want to create a model. You know the developmental rules. He knows the kind of retailers, and here are two retailers sitting together. What could be a model? Because high street cannot take the parking. I'm sure there must be a major issue in terms of parking. Is there a new model? I mean, you have Russia models where you have the entrepreneur's house on the top and the shop in the bottom. So it's the same place where the entrepreneur operates. And within a large plot of land, you create a high street in between. So instead of creating roads outside, you create a high street in between. So are there models like that which can emerge? Can we satisfy the East Indian customers in a very different way?
I think now you will see these kind of models because these large townships and large developments will take place now because there is a clear-cut policy now the government is also encouraging. See what happened, this high street and open kind of format which Pankaj just told about, it is very difficult if it is a standalone development because then you see the developer will not be able to use the entire FAR. Because if it is a open kind, maybe it is a ground floor only structure or ground plus one at the most. Then the FAR issue will come, the ground coverage is less. So what we discussed this morning that, for these kind of retail model, the building bylaws has to be looked into, maybe the more ground coverage, maybe the TDR thing if the government allows that, okay, if I built an open type mall, I can use my development right somewhere else, and those kind of things have to come. And of course, with the large format developments like township on 50 acre or 25 acre or big development, there it is still possible that, okay, you make some retail model which is sustainable for that area from maintenance point of view, which is very important, and you use your FSI for the balanced development.
Okay. So I just want to not get into this direction because I think we'll get into real estate. Let's talk of the consumer and the way she or he is changing. Around the country, we are seeing a lot of online shopping happening, which means that in our lives, suddenly the mobile has become an important part, and we are shopping a lot online. I'm told that Northeast is probably the largest online shoppers in this country, and East is also not far behind. So Mohit, what is the consumer behavior change? For example, are you also doing online deliveries? Are you doing some deliveries based on technology? How are you participating in the life of a changing consumer who also is spending a large amount of time on her mobile?
Yeah. Before I just get into that, just two very quick points to your previous question. I think the two trends which we've seen which are stronger and stronger, and from consumer behavior perspective, McKinsey does this fascinating research every year which is called How the World Shops. And there is a very, very strong advocacy of a 15-minute rule. Majority of retail, especially for my industry, shoppers don't go outside a 15-minute radius to shop, which is, it sounds logical. You won't drive half an hour to buy groceries. And the second one is, which again applies very strongly to our industry, is that retail in India still is a family event. 60% of our shoppers, when they come to our stores, come with families. And that again ties back to my previous point of recreation. So if I were to put a different model of retail. And I'm not going to talk about integrated townships, but I would start making smaller and smaller developments more inside the residential catchment areas. So, there are three types of retail which we can do. All of you know that. Residential, high street, and malls. I think the residential part, and obviously by its nature, it has to be smaller, more integrated developments. I think those are the ones in the future which can be more successful. Obviously, they'll run for some categories which are more related to highly frequently purchased categories. On online, yes, we've already started our journey. We acquired a firm couple of months back, 3 months back. We are already live in the National Capital Region. We are doing beta testing in Calcutta last 5 weeks. We've been transacting, but it's only within the group right now. We'll open up to the consumers in the next few weeks. I think there the really large and exciting opportunity for us, Nagesh, is share of wallet.
Yep.
Nielsen tells you that loyal urban modern trade shoppers shop 3 out of 11 times in a self-service format. 8 times they do not. Again, logical. Why would you come to a hypermarket or a supermarket to buy 1 or 2 top-up items, fresh, etc.? That's the big opportunity. 82% of our shoppers have been shopping with us for more than 1 year. Extremely loyal. And you go to any large format, horizontal, vertical online retail, they'll tell you that biggest problem is loyalty. They're spending tons of money acquiring customers, but the customers are not loyal. So they have to continue to spend tons of money to acquire customers.
I have a, when I was speaking to a consumer, and this I'm talking of in Mumbai, of why does she give only 3 out of 11? So she's told 2-3 things. One is she said they want us to come for top-ups. Our monthly purchase is between 6,000 to 7,000 and top-up is between 300 to 500 twice a week or once a week. But for every 300, they want us to charge a 40 rupees parking. Then they want us to park somewhere and come. It takes me 25 minutes, 30 minutes to shop for 300, 400, but it's easy to shop. So I think that's what the consumer is asking. Consumer is saying, can you bring in speed in the way the modern retail develops? So maybe she's saying, have a large hypermarket, have a small supermarket, have a convenience stores. I'll be loyal to Spencer's. So what if I don't come to the main store? I go to your convenience store. I think this is what the consumer is asking. But today you have smaller shops available on the high streets, kiranas, which can be converted into a Spencer's Express franchise. Why are those opportunities not captured?
So again, going back to the Trip Mission thing, if you look at it from a retailer's perspective, okay, from a consumer perspective, you articulated it really well, and for us, that's the opportunity. It's far more efficient for us to go directly to their house. If we take the store as a hub and, say, again, apply the 15-minute rule. So Nagesh is a shopper of my South City store. He lives within 15 minutes of the store. He goes 2 or 3 times a month to buy the large purchases. 7 or 8 times he doesn't go. I can make the store go to him, that same assortment, and not any other store's assortment or not a unique, one assortment for Calcutta City. And I think that's the beauty of omni-channel retail. And these are just only 2 channels. We can have more channels. Only an omni-channel retailer can do click and collect. There are no unused gas stations in India, like in America, which, horizontal retail can use for pickups. It will not happen. There are no bus stations where you can leave stuff and collect. But we have store networks where we can get our shoppers to pick up.
Very, very interesting point. I don't know how many of you are seeing new format developing out of this discussion. Very interesting. So do you see, and this question, let me ask Pankaj first, Sushil, you can also come into it. Are we seeing a format? See, West has seen a very different format emerging, which is called the click and collect, which means you're actually shopping online, but coming and collecting from the shop. 35% of shopping in the West now happens in the large department stores and mall through the click and collect, which means they actually go and collect it, but they're not collecting from the main door or the main entrance or inside the shop. They're collecting from a collection center, which is sometimes tucked in the corner or sometime at the back. Now, do we see a format where in the residential complexes, you can actually create, like you have a dark store, which is a warehouse, let's say a collection center, or a kind of a thing like that. So what happens is, couples are actually going and working together. So is there a smaller combination of a dark store, if you're getting me what I'm saying, a collection center, and therefore a new format emerge, and online, which means you can see it on the screen, And that will not require a 1 lakh square feet. Even at 5,000 or a 10,000 square feet could be fantastic inside a residential complex. Is that an opportunity? Because what Mohit said, if that is true, then I don't see a situation where he will create a lot of convenience stores, which is like the Kiranas. Although Tesco is actually going through that route with Tesco Express, with multiple stores in Pune. Yeah, so it's a very new combination. What do you think?
So, Nagesh, absolutely, sir. There is, in fact, a retailer I can't disclose right now who's working on a format wherein
Somebody's working on a format.
which is
This
which
is
going
not
to be.
our idea. I thought today we'll develop a new
Yeah.
idea and paint it called the
So
East
it's
India
still
Retail
it's like a
Summit
beta
idea.
testing on offline retail where he's the front end of the store instead of 50,000 square feet will just be a 5,000 square feet store, where tucked away in that development somewhere there'll be a 25,000 square feet kind of a warehouse, wherein the customer comes in, there'll be a lot of monitoring with screens and stuff like that, where he can pick up his goods, and he says this is I want. Somebody will pack it in that, and in 10 minutes or 5 minutes, by the time he pays, the packet will be ready and delivered to his car.
Sanjay, what is this opportunity? And Sushil, suddenly what is striking me, this is the Bombay mind which works. Saying, oh, so if it is a storage area or it is a warehouse area, it may also come as free of FSI. So suddenly my development becomes much more profitable for me. I will still charge him for a store, but it's a dark warehouse.
Large development, sometimes there are a lot of fat areas, we call it.
Correct, correct.
Which cannot be utilized as a apartment. And sometimes because of the structure, there are issues. We cannot use them efficiently as parking. But these things can be.
Wonderful. Yes,
We
Sanjay,
can create definitely self-space, and things can be stored and delivered and packed and all that.
I want you to address three things that we have discussed in the last few minutes. One is about the consumer behavior towards omni-channel and online space and the mobile. Second is saying, is there a new format which Raymond, I know you've gone into a flagship format. The third is, you also are into made to order. And made to order, ladies and gentlemen, is actually coming up in a very big way, in a very different way. Today we see a lot of plus sizes women wanting to go and getting through the made to order. Second is, we're also seeing the fashionability of the consumer wanting to go through the made to order. And Raymond has been this thick and thin. I mean, that's the core business for men. Just touch on these three subjects. I want you to address the consumer behavior changes that's happening.
Well, yes, Nagesh. I mean, in the last couple of years, we've seen more and more people coming up and saying, hey, you know what, I need to fit into my clothes. I need a better fitting, I need a better, drape, I need all of that. So therefore, our made to measure and made to fit has really been doing very well for us. And just to touch upon the same subject that Mohit was talking about and Pankaj was talking about and you were talking about the click and collect, about the, the omni-channel part of it. Well, we at our end are doing a very interesting, exercise, which is more or less ready and we should be able to roll that out, is the pop-up store. So what happens is, for example, you get into an Infosys campus, which has, let's say, 3,000 people working. Now, all those 3,000 people need to wear their whites and blues and the core stuff. They need trousers, they need a jacket, they need all of that. So what you do is, you pop up a store, you have your tailoring piece there, you can go online, check the stuff that you need, and if it needs a measurement, you just come down, get your measurement, it is saved in the system, and then it's just delivered to you. Same thing within large business school campuses. Let's say, for example, IIM Ahmedabad or IIM Lucknow, where you have the time, or any other such business schools where you have interviews happening, there's a season where, so all these things can be addressed at these points.
It's amazing, Mohit, that the way we used to shop and sell 25 years back or 30 years back is coming back. As you were talking about the pop-up store, yesterday when I left my house, I asked my wife, do you want me to get you anything? So I said, what about some Bengal cotton saris? And she said, there's no need, because there's one gentleman who comes from Kolkata every month, and he brings his whole shop into the house. And she calls 5, 7, 8, 10 of her friends, and he opens up the whole sari shop inside the house and sells. So we're almost reaching back that kind of a thinking in terms of wanting to serve customers back into home. And I'm sure a lot of you know that the luxury brands in this country have literally adopted this If you talk of the Burberrys of the world, you talk of the Chanels of the world, you talk of these kind of brands, they're literally taking the whole shop into the consumer's house, because these are consumers who at one time shop 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs. Nobody actually knows what they're doing inside their house. They're still shopping. It's conspicuous, but it is very, very large shopping. So I think there is this new format emerging in terms of now going back to the consumer. What
So-
could be next after this?
So coming back to your question as to how made to measure is actually picking up. So we have this service in made to measure, which is called the concierge service, wherein once we have your size, you needn't come to our store. We reach out to you. So there's a team of 2 people who actually go down to your place. We carry the swatches with us. So you select the fabric, you select the buttons, you select every single thing. And recently we have introduced customized shoes. So we can even deliver a customized
But
shoe.
what happened to customers like me, whose waist keeps going 2 inches up and down every 3 months?
But that's why I sent the second guy to.
Achha, he
remeasure.
also comes to measure. I thought he only comes to inches and
No.
please carry on.
So that's how, and we have seen a huge traction in this part. Of course, not too much, of course, in East, no, because people still come walk into our stores in the East and they are willing to spend that time for measuring and all. But in places like Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, we've been seeing the concierge service doing extremely well.
Okay, we will take one more discussion point from the audience before we come into question answer.
Will
Yeah.
you give me half a minute?
Please take.
Online.
Please.
I have seen, we talked about click and collect. I have seen try and click. See, a person will come, he will try a shoe in the Puma or Adidas shop. He will check, yes, this model, he will take a photograph.
Yeah.
He'll note down the model and order online because 40% off or 30% and off and all these things. And the material is coming to his house. He is not straightway ordering online because he's afraid of look and
Yeah,
feel of the
yeah.
product and size. But once he has tried, he's sure about the product, he has seen the look and feel he has seen, and then he's ordering. So there is definitely a lot of convergence which is happening. And the retailers need to work because retailers are always complaining to us that the sales are not happening, please give us waiver of rent and please accept the revenue share and all these things. But they must understand that their online is killing the offline sales. So
it's a very interesting point, and let me share a few things which I have actually come across. One is US, they say that 56% of shoppers who come and shop from the stores, and mostly I'm taking department store examples, actually have surfed the net before coming in. So there is, net is not only knowledge, but also some part of pre-sales is happening on the online commerce. So there is no way that any one of us can say that we will be in retail and brand and not be online because we think we can't do e-commerce. You have no option. I mean, just to check, all of you have a smartphone? People who don't have a smartphone, raise your hand. So everybody has a smartphone. Wonderful. How many of you have never shopped online? कोई बात नहीं. Actually, we're going to give a trophy. Some people think मैं अकेला ऐसे हाथ उठाऊंगा तो क्या होगा? Anyhow, so this is the kind of actually world we are talking of. And the other important thing, Sushil, is that हमारा पुराना culture है अतिथि देवो भवा. जो भी आता है उसकी हम सेवा करते हैं, हम सेवा करते हैं, कोई और मेवा खाता है. But there is an opportunity to actually converge this, and he's so right. I'll give you one more example of a retailer that I read about in UK. They have a footwear shop. So what they have done is they have combined the whole business from business as well as incentivization between small retail and online. So what they do is that the moment you order, they actually flash this order on 3 or 4 of their exclusive shops in the locality that you are. Whoever can pick the order first and get it delivered from the shop actually gets to deliver, and he gets the incentive for the shop. So earlier they were allocating to say, okay, you go to so and so and buy. Now they're saying, no, let me see which shop manager is really smart, who can really release one of his staff, because don't forget, 40% of our time our staff are actually not as occupied as they are. So yeah, it makes a tremendous difference. And I think you're right. Convergence is very important. Probably collaboration is also extremely important. I'll come to that one part, but I think Pankaj, you wanted to say something.
Yeah.
I happened to meet the CEO of Gap of China last week, and we had an interaction with him over a session. And what he said on the convergence, and what I'll point out here is, Gap has 167 stores right now operational in China. And what he told was, whichever new, so, and the potential is say 1,000 stores, because China is a much bigger market and stuff like that. And he says every time we open a new location or a region with a Gap store, the online sales from that region went up by 30%.
Wow. Wow.
And he says, eventually, so the question as normally we all pose is online a threat in China market, and also are we seeing this only in India? He says, it is eventually, what you're saying is convergence will happen. Whether it translates for revenue from our business models, from a developer perspective, real estate perspective, from a retail perspective, you capture it somewhere or the other, it is going to get captured. The customer is one. He's actually, whether he shops online or offline, it's the same customer. The market gets built because the customer, which he's excited to explain is, when he sees a Gap store, everybody knows about Gap. He says, as a brand, we are very fortunate, it's a very well-known brand. But what happens is the customer comes inside, experiences it, he talks about to his friends, and online starts picking up from there and there itself also.
So I think that conversion is a very important point. There's one more point which comes into my mind, which is actually collaboration and creating your own marketplaces. See, today marketplaces have been created by the technology and the online players, which is the Flipkarts of the world and the Amazon of the world. They have created a marketplace where we collaborate and work on the same marketplace. Similar opportunities existing in the physical marketplace, but for some reason we are not doing it. Let's see a street. A street has an Apple store, a Raymond store, a supermarket, and a lot of non-competing stores on the same street. They cater to the same market. But because the street is not an organized street, we never get together, the 6 of us or 10 of us or 12 of us, and reach the consumer the same way like a mall will do. So like a Quest or a South City will send a mailer or do an event, I don't think you'll have an MG Road event or a Lokhandwala Street event. Although Lokhandwala Street has started this in Mumbai and has been very successful. So one of the things that we have to look at it is, we should not be seeing the next door shop as a competitor, but look at him as a complementing product guy supplying to the same consumer. So those of you who operate on the high street, if you think there's an opportunity to collaborate with your so-called competitor, but he complements the assortment within the consumer's house, I think there is a huge, huge opportunity to increase your wallet share, increase your family household wardrobe share in the market, which I think is something that we should be able to capture. Tough times, but I think there are greater opportunities because of online and offline platforms available to us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take few questions before we wrap up the session. Since we started 10, 12 minutes late, I take the liberty of taking another 3 or 4 or 5 questions. Don't hesitate. Can we have the mic here, please? Please do ask a question, and if you want a particular panelist to answer you, we'll ask him to answer.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Sharad Mohta. Wanted to ask about the hyperlocal thing. Like the online, the customer wants to go online and he can get the product offline immediately. So hyperlocal which comes in between to cater to both, So do you think that hyperlocal is something which is a solution as a form of convergence between the offline and the online?
Mohit, you want to take this? Yeah.
Well, it could be, but certainly not in the category that we are in. And so basically there are 3 formats. There is a pure play, there is a omni-channel, and hyperlocal is really a service, like you rightly said. Principally retail in India, and apart from very, very few categories, and these are really categories in, I'm talking mass categories such as apparel, is a low margin game, and part of it is because we are one of the few countries in the world which has a MRP regime. So you're restricted at the upper end to charge for service. So intuitively, somebody who's providing the service like a hyperlocal retailer has to play the game within the MRP margin. He has to also satiate the retailer, and he has to also satiate the intermediary, which is the distributor or somebody else who's done that. So only for those artificial reasons, I see in mass consumption categories, hyperlocal struggling to find a business model. Whether it's a sound service, of course it is. I mean, and it can provide you distribution for a lot of categories. But I think there will be a problem in most mass consumption categories to make it a successful business model. And that's the reason why lately you've seen a lot of shutdowns of hyperlocal retailers.
I just want to add something more to this. And but however, India is also going through a very new trend in terms of the consumer behavior. We are willing to pay for the service without questioning the service or without looking at the value of the service. It's very surprising that the restaurant business in the last 2 years has almost like a government levy started adding up service charges. I have not seen a single customer who has said, I had my food, I'm not happy with the service, please go and reverse the 10%. It's not a government levy, it's supposed to be a tip that I was paying earlier. I'm also involved with 2 other businesses, which one is upliftment of the dhobis, it's called WhatsApp. Another is upliftment of the tailors, okay, it's called Urban Tailor, okay. And I must tell you that it's a unique opportunity of creating hyperlocal, like Mohit said, in the non-food related area, where you are actually able to Uberize or bring in the Ola concept into hyperlocal. So those of you who are thinking of this as a business or in this kind of a business, and if you can actually tie up with an online player, which is what? You are aggregating the demand. What is the problem with the tailors? They know how to stitch, but they don't know how to go and market themselves. What's the issue with the dhobis? I mean, they have to go across and beg. Is there a way to actually aggregate and create a hyperlocal situation? People are willing to pay the price, and I know people are paying enormous amount of price for service. So if you are in the supermarket business, and if there was a way you could think of, so for example, since you said and you're talking about, let's say that you tie up with Spencer's, and you have a shop there, and you are saying that as far as the MRP-led products are concerned, I will do the local delivery as long as the order gets picked up. But as far as some of the dips are concerned, some of the sauces are concerned, okay, I will create these dips and sauces which don't have an MRP, and you don't sell. Can we collaborate? And actually, can I do that across? Maybe you'll be able to actually build. So you can create the tail of the assortment and probably do a hyperlocal delivery. Possible, basically because of the technology. Yeah? Can I come back to you? No, one question per person as of now. Anybody else who wants to ask, please? Otherwise, I'll come back to you. Anybody else who has a question to ask the audience? Okay, people are thinking. Get the mic back here, please. I mean, this is a great opportunity for you to get your questions answered from people who are experienced, who have burnt their fingers, and have actually learned the business very well.
One more thing which I find from big retail formats like Big Bazaar, or for that matter, any other company, that even if the product is great, they will ask a dowry, you know, that I want this much of money to place your product, this much for the visibility we can understand, but just to take a product, they will ask some kind of fees, you know, per store this much or this. This is I feel is a kind of dowry, and they should do it on the basis of the merit of the product. If the product is great, I'll tell you, our product is ice.
What's your question? Should people ask for dowry or not?
No,
I'll go back and ask the others.
Should not be. They should decide on the merit of the product.
Yeah. Mohit, I think this question is to you, and then I'll also answer if.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite topics since I was a merchant before this. So the truth is, you know, 99% of product launches in India fail, especially in the grocery space, and which is not very similar to a marriage, which has a far lower failure
Oh,
rate.
that was a good one.
Yeah. So once we marry that product, what do I do with the 99%? Because you won't take it back, and it just sits in my inventory. Very, very few manufacturers in food and grocery space are happy to take a product failure back. I'm talking about top 5 also.
Yeah.
So this offsets some of the costs which which is the dirty cost in my business, where these products expire and I carry it on my books. I mean, he runs a hypermarket business, so he knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then there is, of course, the complexity of listing a product, etc. I am not a product manager. Okay. I'm a buying manager. I don't know whether that product will work or not. I possibly cannot have that expertise built in for 206 FMCG categories I work with. I can't. It'll be, for any good, large national consumer goods retailer, most product categories, they'll have 25 to 30 member R&D product management team. So to create that for 206, you are. So when you come to me and 99% of your products fail, I have to ask you for this because this is the price of failure.
Plus, so you have taken the first risk of creating the business and things like that.
And also it sits on the prime retail shelves where, you know, it's not that you would say that, okay, place me on the third aisle somewhere down there, you know. It's also that you want the end gondolas, you want that prime shelf space. For that you charge extra.
That's dowry plus the lehengas and the suits. No, let me come back to you. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Suppose tomorrow Mohit says that I'm not going to ask you for any listing fees. Your average margin is 20%. For the first 6 months, give me 40%. Once you meet your sales targets, I will come back to 20% and not ask you for dowry.
Fair enough, absolutely. That was the proposal I was to give.
Okay, so maybe you could go back and give the proposal, but
Yeah,
20
it
has
should be
become
based on-
40.
yeah.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Okay, anybody else who wants? Otherwise, this gentleman is almost taken the rights of the questions. Yeah. He has a question for Sushilji. You're, being targeted.
No, I think it's very important for our industry and especially in retail that we are suffering in the East because a whole lot of brands are not able to come because the infrastructure is actually not there. Quality infrastructure for retail is not present for the brands that want to come in, the Zaras of the world, etc. We are facing a lot of issues. You sit on, or you are heading the whole retail, the real estate division with the government. And what is it that they are doing to change that, where they give us enough opportunity to get that FAR extra? Because if you keep creating housing and you do not have retail, you are going to ask people to drive 1 hour away from where they live. So I think that part of it we've been asking over and over, but I mean, nothing seems to work. Are we getting some sort of pathway or clarity that yes, if you build so much of housing, so much of infrastructure of retail with parks, etc., everything, but more importantly, that are we able to get that so that at least we are able to bring retail right to people's doorsteps as required, but also create quality infrastructure?
Sanjeev, I fully agree with you. That is the reason that we have been advocating with the government since last 2 years, and we were successful in getting the new township policy, where they are ready to approve our thematic townships. Suppose if somebody wants to create a retail township or a education township or something like that. So the 25% of development has to be non-residential, and it has to be some kind of commercial. So obviously retail will be the front runner in that non-residential category, because there you get immediate take, if it is medical or if it is educational, it has a gestation period, retail has less gestation period. So now in future we will be seeing these kind of developments where there is a proper mixed-use townships, say 50 acres is the minimum size the government has decided. And there will be 100 acres or more also, and where the developer is allowed to buy the land, retain the land above the ceiling, and also to make it workable from business point of view. There is a global FSI concept that if I am not able to use the FAR for non-residential parts, say retail or a hypermarket, high street kind of format where there is no big box retail but a high street, low-rise structure, I can use the FAR in residential or some other category. So these kind of things have come, and it will take maybe a couple of years to actually see these kind of developments. The projects are on drawing board now.
You are hopeful that in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, you will see in suburbs these kind of developments where you will find retailers having space.
What about in the city area? Because
Within
that
the
is
city,
actually...
Sanjeev, the property prices are so high that the business model is really challenging. I don't see any new mall coming in the Calcutta pin code, say within the prime South Calcutta and North Calcutta area, to get another South City or Quest. It doesn't make any business sense. It just doesn't make 4 years of waiting, and then after that 1 year of revenue share and this thing, it doesn't work.
Some retailers willing to pay 500 rupees a square foot rent.
Or if they are ready to, because you see, I am making the Acropolis, for example, if you take, I invested for 4 years, and thereafter now mall has started, so I'm going to see my revenue now.
Yeah.
So this 4 years of carrying cost is humongous.
Very large,
You see,
very
we have to also understand one thing, and we must take it with the RBI and all, that the interest cost in our country is killing. For real estate, it is almost 13%. So in 4 years, the money just double, the investment just double. So when retailers say that I can't afford your rental or I can't afford this, but I don't know how in high street they are ready to pay 25,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees a square feet and buy a shop and do the retail business.
No cam.
No, there are other things also. Most of the brands, when they take a high street shop, at least I call them as the CEO, expat CEO shop. So Linking Road, all the shops are made for a year, 2 year when the brand comes in, because when their managing director from France or Germany or US comes, he visits only 3 cities and 3 roads only. So you go to one mall in, select Saket Mall in Delhi, Linking Road in Mumbai, and MG Road or Brigade Road in Bangalore. So these 3, so there you have to have a flagship. All these flagships close in 2 years because it just does not work. We'll take one more question if anybody has. If not, I'll ask Amitabh Taneja to ask a question. Yaar. Koi to puche question. Sorry, yes, please. You get that mic here.
Just a small one. I mean, as a customer, I don't know, I somehow cannot, I enjoy that click and connect, but I somehow run away from the Spencer type shops or any similar ones. The biggest challenge which I face is that suppose I need to buy a shaving brush or I want to buy some snacks. I just want to buy one packet. I just want to pick up and go, the speed. I don't get that. I just don't get that. Because I know मैं line में जाऊँगा, line में wait करना है. I better tell my wife that you pick it up.
Oh, so you are okay, your wife standing in the line, but you don't want to stand in the line.
I cannot.
That's not fair. That's not fair.
Might be probably she's staying close to that place because I stay just
She's
opposite.
not
to
here,
the-
otherwise I would ask her this question.
Yeah, I know.
But that's
You're
okay.
most welcome. So do we see that challenge which we face when we want to just pick up 1 or 2 items? We don't have to wait in the queue. I mean, there had been a lot of trials which had been done, but it doesn't work. We back of the mind, we know that I have to invest another 15-20 minutes here.
Quickly,
Yeah.
I think your feedback is bang on, and this is not a challenge for Indian retailers. It's happening across the world, even in US. The traditional days of driving customers through all other categories to the category which they've come to shop for are over. Even North American retailers are placing more and more of the fastest selling products at the front of the store, which is very paradoxical because they know as the category matures, like it is in India, and you are saying this after having shopped in these stores after a couple of years. 10 years back you possibly wouldn't have because you were exploring, there was discovery. So we also have to react to this, and I'm not even talking about making checkout counters faster, etc. Those are all separate things. So your feedback is bang on, and in fact we are also changing our stores to start reflecting that. As consumers mature, they will ask for these changes.
Yeah, maybe there is a way forward with the charges of the Paytms of the world, that their day will come when you ask for a chip and somebody just drops you and doesn't take money. And as long as your Paytm account is available with them, monies will automatically get transferred. I don't know, lots of things is happening in today's world in the way the money is flowing. I don't know what format is going to come in the next 1 or 2 years. But as retailers, we need to watch this whole development of 3 things that is happening: the way the mobile phones are working, the way the wallets are working, the way the Aadhaar is becoming an identification. I mean, we are actually waiting for a huge, huge change in the way retail is going to operate in the next maybe 2 years' time or 3 years' time. But ladies and gentlemen, wonderful. It was a great pleasure for all of us to interact with you. First of all, clap for yourself. That's better. I thought at least for yourself you'll clap in a much bigger way. Can you clap for my great panelists who've really done a wonderful job? Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate